So today we have
Chair.
Impossible
Chair. I have a chair.
I have
a chair.
Impossible.
Lion face. Ah! Little face.
What
Ooh.
the
Lion face. Ah! Little face. Ooh. Oh, okay.
Algorithm
destroys families!
Dumbest name he says.
So, this episode of Monster Closet is being brought to you by shit. We're going to talk about shit.
There's plenty of it. People are cheap, and they sponsored us.
Shit. So we're going to talk about most disappointing video game purchases.
Monster
we've
Closet
actually used our
reminisces
own money
video games.
to buy. Yes.
What a surprise! We're talking about
Video games. Yeah.
Again?
Nerd!
Three times in a row,
Yeah,
video games.
this will be a free flow episode.
What do you
in a
care? You
sense.
didn't even watch.
Yeah, really.
You're not paying into this.
Either way, you're not commenting, even if you're watching, so you should be
We
fucking
could be
doing
talking
it.
about somebody's asshole. We
Right.
don't
We'd
care.
do better on YouTube if we were.
Yeah.
But we don't care about that. We'll start off in the realm of the most disappointing purchases that we've made with our own money.
In history.
That's an easy one.
I will start off this little ditty with a recent game.
Little P. Diddy?
Little P. Diddy. It won't stop, can't stop, it won't stop. I'm going to go with Watch Dogs
Watch Dogs.
right now. Yeah.
Don't believe the hype.
Yeah, well, truthfully, I wasn't going to buy that game. I kind of felt like, whatever, but there was this lull in games coming out for the new systems, and like everybody else, I bought who did buy a new system. You kind of want to buy new games for your new system.
Some toys with it.
You know what I mean? You have to do something with it other than playing the same game you bought on launch. So I got definitely hyped into buying this game by a very good push from Ubisoft as far as their marketing campaign.
I mean, Ubisoft went all out on the marketing with this, but I just saw the writing on the wall once, They first showed off the game in like E3 2012.
Yep.
Game looked spectacular. Everyone was super hyped up about it. And every single time they showed off gameplay of that game afterwards, it started to look worse and worse as they realized they couldn't quite hit the specs needed to make the game look like that.
Yeah.
And I was just skeptical at time of release. Heard some other stories about how they were pretty much bribing the gaming press.
Yeah.
And that game came out to round about 8. Which seemed really weird considering.
Yes, because it's not an 8.
It's like Game Payola, so you do the same thing all the games.
Well,
It's not even a terrible game.
It's
a passable game. It's just
super derivative.
it doesn't do anything well.
Right.
In that genre.
Nothing original
The
about it.
driving is awful. I mean, just to compare it to the game the reason why I feel it's like my most disappointing purchase, even though there's probably a million I forgot up to this point. But I mean, I just come off of basically playing GTA 5.
Sure.
And then to
A
play
lot
a
of people
game that
probably did.
really wanted to be that, with like a little bit of Assassin's Creed flair mixed into it for good fucking measure, because it's
You could climb on
because
shit,
it's Ubisoft. Essentially, there's some free running.
Pointless stuff to do.
Yeah, but I felt like this is a much worse version of it, and I honestly played like the first hour and a half and haven't touched it since. I mean, how do you?
I probably played about as much of it as you did.
Pretty bad.
Luckily, I hadn't actually purchased it.
Right.
I just got the chance to play it,
Right.
and I felt the exact same way. It just felt like a very dry game. Like the character bored me from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like open world games, usually when I start them, like good open world games, Grand Theft Auto, Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah.
As soon as I start them, you'd have trouble pulling me away from those within like the first 4 hours. With Watch Dogs, I was struggling. I played like 20 minutes at the start. Then like the next day, I played like another 20 minutes to a half hour. And it's like
you just didn't want to play it.
If you're forcing yourself like it's a job, that's like the worst game ever.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's that bad because, I mean, there is definitely money. I mean, fair enough. Money spent on this game. There was.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And there is some polish to it.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
you know,
They hyped it
to
up.
some degree.
I mean, there's some buggy shit, but...
minus the PC controversy where they actually unlocked the original graphics, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Not
right.
saying that Ubisoft is dishonest or anything.
Right. But yeah, I just felt like it was a massive disappointment. I mean, on all fronts, just didn't care to play it much more.
Myself, I'm going to go with Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. If there's anything you know about me, there's 2 main game franchises for me. There's Metal Gear, and then there's Castlevania.
Yeah.
Both Konami games. but Castlevania was one of the first games I played ever.
Hell yeah.
And I followed the entire series. I even love the original Lord of Shadows. I love that it was a reboot. They were doing something completely different with it. And I like the concept of Lord of Shadows 2, where you're actually playing as Dracula. There's a story that needs to be told.
Dracula.
Well, it's different.
This is just one of the worst gameplay decisions. Just some of the absolute worst gameplay decisions I've ever seen in any game whatsoever. You take a complete action game that was derivative of God of War, and then you add, like, stealth elements. Instant kill stealth element. You're supposed to be Dracula, some huge badass. But if you fail these stealth elements, something will just instantly kill you. Just bam, hit you with a gun, you're dead.
Nobody kills Dracula.
Right.
No. There are elements.
Sorry, was this the latest Castlevania that came out?
Yes,
Yeah.
this one came out at the beginning of this year.
Yeah,
it looked great.
Yeah.
It nailed a lot of his art design, and some of the characters are spectacular. You would be fooled to think that Guillermo del Toro didn't make some of these characters.
Why wouldn't they have why wouldn't they have made this like more of a like overpowered simulator where you are just super powerful? Like that would have given you the feeling of being like
that was like the
this
opening
omnipresent
of Force Unleashed when you get to be
vehicle.
Darth Vader.
Right.
And, like, nothing
right,
can stop
totally.
you.
Like why do they not do
Yeah.
that? Like I understand
Yeah.
that there's problems with gameplay when you make somebody overpowered.
Yeah.
But you know what? I sure as hell fucking had a lot of fun playing Saints Row 4 when you were overpowered.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
a
care.
game where you can't get killed, not because of a cheat. It's just a game like you're just the shit, and you're gonna kill everything.
Like that. I mean, I'm going to go super hardcore with it. There's a game called Gungrave for PS2.
Yeah, I remember it.
You'd have to try to die in the first Gungrave game. You just run around shooting everything in front of you. You
Game
feel like
easy.
an ultimate badass.
Say hello to my little friend!
So I don't have a problem with the game being easy if you're supposed to be like damn near the ultimate evil, like in that world.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. Now, what about you?
This goes back a ways bit when I was a little wee.
Ways bit!
When I was a wee little child.
When I was just a little boy.
Now, you see, when I was a wee little bit child, there was a game called Zelda. And when that
Do
came
tell,
out,
sir.
it was in a golden cartridge.
Zelda!
And I'm not saying Zelda's the game. And we all bought it, and we were all amazed by it because it was the first sort of role-playing game we ever saw in that capacity.
Top 3 all-time
Any of us.
favorite games.
Absolutely. And then they announced a sequel. Oh my god.
Yep.
It's going to call Adventures of Link. Oh, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And I reserved my copy. And I remember I got it from Video Game Depot, which was in Lyndhurst. There used to be stores back then that actually...
I know, like,
It didn't-
that
it was
weren't
it's a hard
named,
concept. Yeah.
something.
Yeah. This was Adventures of Link, and I was so disappointed. This was a far cry from the original. It was a side-scroller, and it felt more like an action game than an adventure game, and it really just didn't work for me.
Do you remember?
I'll
Do you
never
remember the
forget
map of it? Like, do you remember like
I don't remember the map, no.
Well, the actual the actual gameplay was like you would walk around a little bit more like the way Link did in his actual in the first game.
Yeah.
But when you would encounter an enemy,
Yeah.
it brought you onto that side-scrolling thing like you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate it, but like I understand that it, especially at that time.
Yeah.
I can't fault you for being ultimately disappointed in that game.
I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
The great Zelda. How can they make it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be better.
Well, I mean, I guess in most games at that time, you would not expect something to regress.
Yeah, especially back then because there was so much open space.
Yeah, they had a all
it was
creativity,
all
a lot
upward.
of they had a lot of like carte blanche to do whatever the hell they
Games
wanted.
are usually always better.
Zelda! Zelda! Zelda!
Honorable mention for disappointment in games right now though is gonna be I'm afraid to put it out there.
We don't want to do a full episode on
Yeah,
it.
well, I'm gonna do a review, but
Kill it.
I'm just throwing it out
Okay.
there. It's just that at this point, I'm going to say that Destiny is a massive letdown.
You heard it here,
Not,
folks.
not to get into
Exclusive!
it. Not like the game is awful, but it's just not what I expected. That's all I'm going to say on this subject. I'll talk about it more at a later date when yours truly possibly do a little review for you. But it is very bad. Now,
Him's truly.
Him's truly.
Him truly would do it for you. He brings you this. He plays games
I
for
does-
you.
I do this for you. I'm not going to play it for myself. I'm going to do it for you. Come on, you guys have to listen to me.
Monster Closet, bad games. You all have. Hey, tell us about your bad game.
That'd be interesting to hear from some people.
Yeah. What's your? I know you hate. You have a game you hate. Tell us.
Let me. Please, guys. Not that we haven't said this before, but please comment, please subscribe, and please fucking tell your friends to quote somebody in this room. Don't keep this shit to yourself. Honestly.
We need and send money to us because Jesus needs money and Jesus will strike us down.
Your money.
Oh, amen.
I was talking to the Lord, and He needed money. I don't know what you come to do,
And I'm gonna say amen.